there should be a thing where it's almost like a clock started. Where it's like 1, 2. Okay, so yeah, this is a talk that I was asked to give on the chakras, and basically, this is not so much me gonna be like telling you like what the chakras are as a like a theory or like something that you have to believe like this is what the 7 chakras are, and they're like this color, and this is the exact structure of these mysterious things that kind of like appeared on the spiritual path that's talked about, called the 7 chakras. Because it's kind of like we hear the term chakra like so often. So it's more me just like sharing like my experience with the chakras, not just me saying like this is what to believe or this way. Because I feel that actually the chakras are going to be like your own experience of them. Like they're going to almost like be your own discovery. So I can just share the discoveries that I made about the chakras, the 7 chakras. But it's just me sharing. I'm not saying like you have to believe that, because some people say there's even more than 7 chakras. Some people say there's like 10,000 or something like that in like different religions and stuff. So it's more like to share from experience, but to create like a sense of wonder at the same time about like what are chakras, and like what do they have to do with yoga and like enlightenment and everything else. So I just sort of wanted to start off saying that like it's more an experiential thing. Like I'm just sharing my experience of the chakras, and in my experience, like the root chakra, which is the very first chakra, it's kind of like that's pure. Like the first chakra is like the root. So it's kind of like right now we're sitting on the earth, like the ground, but like you guys are sitting over there, and like I'm over here, and there's like this experience of like space or like objects in the room. So like that big sign over there says just breathe. It's kind of like we're experiencing it over there in space. So you're gonna have your own experience of your own body and like your own place in space of the room. It's sort of like our root is in any moment how rooted we feel in our own existence, like kind of like our own roots. Like some people would say like let's go back to our roots, or you gotta go back to your roots, or what are your roots? So it's like the word root in English actually comes from a Latin word called radix, and that word means radical. Actually, like the word root comes from the word radical. So, but it's like, what does radical mean to you? It's like again, it's like words can mean so many different. It's gonna be everyone's unique experience. Like even the word yoga, like everyone's gonna have their own unique experience of what yoga is, their own path, like their own reasons for doing it, or like lessons, like because in yoga you're gonna actually learn things from your body, like just by the asanas and doing like different poses, you're gonna become aware of like kind of like subtle energy and almost like ancient magical powers. And even like in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, they're called siddhas, is the word for magic. I'm just going to check with my Facebook Live thing. Is it loud enough? Like, am I speaking loud enough, or should I talk louder?
A little bit louder will be better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's move back.
Someone
Yeah, you guys
couldn't hear it.
Yeah, so basically, like to start off, the root chakra is it's our root. It's like what we're basing everything off of, actually. So it's like if at the root of your existence, like I'm using the word root to mean like your core, like kind of where do you feel grounded? Like a tree is grounded because it's in like its roots are in the ground. So a tree is like you can go up to a tree and hug a tree, and you can feel more grounded just by hugging the tree because it's grounded. So literally, the root chakra or the first chakra is, are you grounded in like existence, or like who are you? Yeah, like what are you? Like what is this that we're experiencing? But are you like feeling rooted in it, like a groundedness, or is it more like cut off from your source? Like the roots are cut, and you feel like kind of cut off from source. So I feel that the root chakra, there's actually nothing wrong with the root chakra. Like when people say like, oh, we're stuck in our first chakra, I don't think we can actually get stuck in the first chakra. I think it's and I'm gonna get to this, I think it's the third chakra, actually like just below the heart, where starts to get like stuck. Like I call it a knot. It's been called by some people too, like a knot. The ego is a knot below the heart, just below the heart. So it's sort of like it's blocking, like people speaking from their heart, or like heartbreak and different things. So it's like actually the first chakra, the root, it's meant to be like abundant. It's like medicine, magic. It's medicine, but they're medicines like within your own body, but they're like magic. They're elixirs. So like the Taoists, they're all trying to like have you guys ever read the Tao Te Ching?
Bunches of it.
Yeah, like in China, their main like religion is called Taoism. Like they don't even use the word God, they'll just say like the Tao. So being in the root chakra is, you can ask yourself like, am I in my Tao? Like, are you in your Tao? Are you walking in your Tao? Are you waking up in your Tao? Because on days when you're like really in the flow and you're super, super rooted, you're in like a magical flow, but there's like a balance and a harmony. So I call that like sort of like source consciousness. And so to me, it's sort of like the root chakra is naturally basically the source, like shining as abundance, like the radiance. And the root chakra is shown as like black and red. That's why today I'm wearing like black and red, because usually the color of the first chakra, which is known as the Muladhara in Sanskrit, is red, but actually it's black because black is like the absence of all colors. So the root of our existence is the absence of like color, shape, time. Like what we're experiencing right now is kind of like a human perceptual experience. And like just a few hours ago, we were like in something that like, again, we have to go by our own experience. So like when I use words, sometimes I have to stop and say like, these words that I'm using, they came from society, but I'm using them in a different kind of awareness, a different kind of way. So like, people will say, a few hours ago, we were sleeping or in sleep. Actually, there's a yoga saying where it's like, the true yogi never sleeps. The true yogi is actually always awake. And that comes from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And I think Patanjali says that too. So you can actually, at night, be aware or awake to yourself while you're falling asleep. You can watch sleep come. Like, everyone has the experience at night where they're like, it's time for me to go to bed. Like, I'm tired. But something has come, like this feeling of the tiredness, almost like a ship, like way out in the ocean, like very slow, but it just comes at the right time. And then you're like, oh, I'm getting more tired. So actually what you can do is you can feel the sleep come more and more like a ship in the night. It's gonna come, you're gonna get more and more tired. Laying there in bed, like literally feeling like sleep coming. If you're a witness of it, or you're awake to sleep coming, it means it's something it means that you are awake. Like you're awake even when your body is sleeping. Like those hours in the night. That's why sometimes if you set your alarm clock and you're like, oh, I gotta get up at this time tomorrow, your brain. Actually, I won't use that word. It's not the brain, because the brain is like the brain is like kind of like a religious word, because like neuroscience says that we're just our brains, but actually we're more than our brains. Like we're this huge awareness that our brain is actually being experienced in. Because like even if you go to biology class or neuroscience and they say like this is the limbic system of the brain and this is the visual cortex and all this is the brain and yeah, this is you. That's still not your own experience of you. That classroom is being experienced in you actually. Even someone else telling you like, this is what you're supposed to believe about yourself. Or like you are, this is science is the truth, and then the moon or like the nature and stuff, it's all just like random. Like that's a big teaching in like certain types of science, but actually I think that everything happens for a reason. So because that's happening, you're in that root. That's your root chakra. Because the root chakra is kind of like the root of why is everything happening. Like it goes like 7 chakras. It's like first chakra, second chakra. So like from the very beginning of everything, it's like your root is that everything happens for a reason. So there's a saying by Rumi, and it goes, live as if everything is rigged in your favor. But I would say like even more, it's like live because it is. It's not like as if, it's as is. So actually like yoga is as is, or pure isness is yoga. So this moment is happening in your awareness, and we're having an experience of this moment. Something's holding this moment together and like keeping it going. Like life is sort of like unfolding and flowing. But if we like really slow down, we'll see that we're like this witnessing awareness is kind of watching like everything happen. Like the way our body feels like right now in the second, like the exact sensations we have. Something is like aware, something is watching. Like we might feel like a little tired today, a certain amount of sleep, like we might feel like, okay, how do we feel rested? But something in the background is actually like checking. Not like an OCD checking, like did I turn the stove off, did I turn the stove off? It's not a frantic checking, it's like a relaxed checking in to yourself. So it's sort of like, am I rooted in myself? Do I feel grounded? To me, that's the first chakra. Okay, so it's also saying like your first chakra, or like your very like essence is abundance, or like spirit, or like wisdom, beauty, and love, and all these things. And then out of that comes the second chakra. So the second chakra is basically the creativity of sexuality, because I'm going to explain sexuality in a different kind of way. And I'm going to start with Hafi's poem to explain this, which is that there's a poem and it goes, the earth never says to the sun, you owe me. Well, look at a love like that. It lights up the whole entire sky. So basically what's happening is that the earth and the moon and everything is sexual. Like everything, actually when you're in love with someone, you're more like tuned into the love making of the universe. Like the universe, like when you're really like, you're experiencing what's called like divine romance. Like, but I'm not going to quote someone else. It's basically like you're super tuned in to the same thing. Like you understand like Rumi's poems more, and like all these poets more, because they're in a state of love. Like they're like romantic, but in the sense of like the whole entire universe becomes romantic. And the romantic is the next step of evolution. So the root chakra is kind of like the realist person, like, or what's called like realist. So a lot of scientists are kind of saying like our roots are like evolution, or like almost like random mutations of genes and like animal like primate mating, and just like this is like why it is, and this is why we're here and stuff like that. But it's like that root is nothing. Like we can't imagine what it is through any kind of like image or something. Like whether it's from science or even religion. I just want to say that like this talk on the chakras is not coming from science or religion. It's coming from my spirituality. Like I'm just sharing. So the first chakra is the first. It's sort of like people have been saying, first things first. So the reason I introduced that Hafiz poem is because basically there's a link, or like a total connection between sexual energy, which is also just known in yoga as like prana energy, or what's called like chi in Chinese and Japanese, I think. I don't know if it's both countries or not, but there's a creative energy, like even through sex, that's how new people are created. Like a baby's created, a new person, a new yogi, a new Buddha, like they were created through that natural energy of the universe called sexuality, without us labeling it, calling it like gay, straight, any kind of like society language for it, or even like culture on it. Just the naturalness of that energy is what I call the second chakra. And in Sanskrit, I don't know if I could pronounce the word right, but it's like swastrahara or something like that is the name for the second chakra. But it's like, how can you contain all the sexuality in a Sanskrit word? Or like the creativity is infinite creativity. So that word, I'm not like too caring too much if I can pronounce the second chakra Sanskrit word, because I can't. I don't know how to do it. If you guys know, it's like swastika or something.
Svahara.
How do you?
Svahara.
Swas.
Svahara.
Swas.
Svahara. Svahara.
Swastika. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But like, the second chakra is that natural, like sexual creative energy. And like music, if you really kind of look at usually our songs, they're sexual, they're like love songs or romantic songs. So basically, the second chakra is kind of like the natural creativity and like art energy. Like an artist that really goes there, like the second chakra, to like paint, and that's where like the colors start really mixing and stuff. That's why if you meet someone and you're attracted to them, you'll say like, oh, there's good chemistry, or I feel this attraction or this connection. That's because of the second chakra. Energies start mixing. It's like yin yang. Things start mixing in the second chakra. So the second chakra is also like the Tao thing of like the yin and the yang, the two fish, because it's masculine and feminine. It starts in the second chakra. So there's like the beginning of like masculine energies inside you, or what's called, and I might not get these words right, because some, like in Hinduism there's the Inga and the Pingala, which are like the masculine and feminine parts of the channel that goes up and down, like from your first chakra all the way to your seventh. The masculine, like the yin and the yang, they start in the second chakra. Is basically what I'm saying. But before the second chakra, back in the root, it's like you're neither male nor female. You're just like existence, or like you're like grounded in something that's like beyond man or woman or anything. That's why Native Americans, someone who's like in Western society labeled as bisexual, that word doesn't even convey the meaning and significance. So in Native American spirituality, there's something called two-spirit, and they believe that actually like someone who's more awakened to their masculine and feminine energy is actually channeling like that energy more. So like they would be more flowing like in their second chakra, or they'd be more like spiritually pure. So basically, even though I'm saying the second chakra is sexuality, I'm not saying it's like any kind of label or like polarized thing of like man versus woman, or like, because there's really rigid gender categories of like boys can only do this, girls can only do this. That's more like social conditioning and stuff. And that social conditioning is gonna start like coming into play, because like we're in relationship all the time. So right now there's like I'm speaking, you're listening, there's a relationship going on in this experience. Whether it's a dream or not a dream, it's both, and we're beyond that as a witness. But still there's an experience of like relationship or like others. So what's gonna happen is the second chakra, that's gonna be where we start like our relationships. Because even through like sexual energy or romantic energy or friendship energy, any kind of like movement towards something, there's gonna be like there's gonna be like intimacy, others. There's gonna be like feeling of boundaries, feeling of all that. That's all like second chakra stuff is what I'm saying. So when you go between like a layer of like the second chakra and the third chakra, you get like a certain amount of boundaries start forming, like solidity, but it's like necessary. So like let's say we're out in society and someone does something that's like harassing in some way. You almost have to say like, hey, I don't appreciate that, or like you have to be like, hey, like don't do that. Like sometimes you might have to literally do that. Let's say if there's like a robber or something, or someone has a gun, or a bear jumped out of a tree or something. There's gonna be a natural energy in us that says like, whoa, like protection almost, but like and almost like an anger-ish, because it's like a power, a passion. You have to be like, whoa, like there's a bear. You almost have to get. That is what I'm calling the third chakra. Like in its naturalness, the third chakra is sort of like almost like boundaries from our self. It's like our self boundaries in the world. So like when we're driving, it's like so many people have road rage or like honk, because you have to have an energy like that in the world, because you'd walk like into traffic or something. It's like a natural, almost like, because anger is actually like a natural energy, or irritation. Like if let's say like the car is not working, we're gonna have a natural sort of like, oh, because what's happened is basically all the anger or like irritation is the second chakra is being blocked. Like we want to be creative. We're artists. We're creative beings. But we want to do something, and let's say like our phone doesn't work. Like let's say if we're a writer, or let's say we're like you guys are here to be yoga teachers. It's like, let's say your mat fell apart in the middle of a class or something. You'd be like, oh, like, wow, oh, like, you know what I mean? It'd be kind of irritating. Be like, oh, my mat just broke or something. But what's happened is that mat was your way of being creative in that moment, like expressing your creativity. So there's going to be naturally like a kind of an irritation-ish energy. That's the third chakra. The third chakra has that in its kind of like main basis. So the third chakra, just to do like a kind of a review, because I know I'm saying a lot too, is the first chakra is starting off saying that like life is a beautiful thing, or like the ultimate optimisticness, sort of. But it's not like an optimism like that's kind of like on a scale against like pessimistic, like or like you're trying to be positive, because that's already negative. If you're trying to be positive, part of you's gonna know that you're trying to like feel better or positive, like if there's a negative energy or something. But the highest kind of effortlessness and joy is where you don't even have to try anything. You're just naturally like positive. Like there's a natural like abundance from you not having to like work hard or anything. Like things just that's actually like what's gonna come later, more and more as I get closer to the 7th chakra, which is called like samadhi, or what's called the real eye. The real eye is always actually the real eye is samadhi. It's not that you go into samadhi, you're already that. It's just that these steps. And by the way, the 7th chakra is found in all the mystical traditions. The Bible was made in 7 days, and it says on the 7th day God rested, because all the chakras up to the 6th, there's things you can do to like open them and loosen them. But once you get to the 6th, the 7th you can rest in your being. Like it's natural, you're naturally gonna explode as the 1,000-petal goddess, the 1,000-petal lotus chakra. It's like the 7th chakra is gonna is samadhi. You're already like pure isness, or you're already pure awareness. The first 6, there's like things you can do. Like for the 5th chakra, the throat chakra, you can say like affirmations. You know, things like that. But the 7th chakra, when it opens, which is enlightenment, it's not like something that you do. It's something that you are. Like you came into this experience right here already moving, like already flowering as all the chakras, like already opening. The chakras are just like flowers of awareness, basically. Even if you look at like a symbol, there's petals, like they're flowers. So there's a reason why we can ask, like, what is the archetype of the sages? Why would they use the flower as an archetype? Because flowering is like a natural thing. It's very like effortless. If you watch your flowers in your garden, there's certain things you have to do, like you have to water the flower, but the flower, if you just give it water, it's already meant to grow into a certain way. Like it already comes with the capabilities to be a rose, or like a sunflower or whatever. You know, so the 7th chakra is actually something that happens by itself. In the sense of like in the Bible it says on the 7th day God rested. Because you're creating like you're pulling up even from the 1st chakra. That's the purpose of the Mulyana Bandha. But Mulyana Bandha, you have to learn yourself, because it's like super intimate. You can't just be told like, yeah, with this part of your body you squeeze this and you pull this and stuff. It's like that was discovered by another yogi. You have to have your own rootedness. Muladhara, the 1st chakra. That's gonna come to you, like in the way that you're supposed to. And if you go to a yoga class, a lot of teachers, they'll just say like, remember to do your Mulyana Bandha, like almost like quick, like fast. Like, and for you yogis out there, Mulyana Bandha. It's like, I don't think, from where I'm coming from, you can rush the root. Because if you're rushing at your root, you're already like thrown off. Because if your 1st chakra, your Mulyana Bandha, like the beginning of your class, like breathing. For those who don't know, that are listening, like most yoga, you're taught 2 types of breathing. So the first one is actually where you're gonna breathe in through your nose, like, and while you're doing that, you're gonna sort of like tighten the muscles around like your groin and like your hips, and sort of like for men it's sort of like very I won't even say for certain men, it's like sort of like intimate body parts, and you're sort of like squeezing that and then pulling that air up and up and up, and you're supposed to try to pull it like up through your chakras, like out through your head. And that's like the first breathing technique that you learn, is the Muliana Bandha. But it's sort of like, unless you come to your own experience of that, and in your own unique way, and you see like, okay, how does it feel? How do I feel like rooted in the earth, like the ground underneath? Like, because like the Muliana Bandha is, like they use the word for money is the mula. So like the real mula, or the real money, or our feeling of wealth and abundance, comes from our root chakra, actually. Because like it's where you're starting off. Like, is the root of your wealth like the source? Then your wealth is infinite, because your source of wealth is the source itself. And like your self-wealth is infinite. You're like, that's why they call it the crown chakra, the seventh, because you're a king and a queen. In reality, in spirituality, you're actually like super rich, like super wealthy. And what happens is, as your chakras open, you exude richness, like a wealth. Like, it would be hard for people with just looking from a certain level of reality to say, hey, this person, they feel like a millionaire or something. They just have like this energy of like wealth, but they just look like an ordinary person, kind of. You might not have like a fur coat or something, but it's like your vibration speaks more ancient, because you're speaking from the root. So when you're resonating at the root, you're like coins are kind of like shaking coins, like ching 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 ching. Like you're creating yourself, creating your own wealth. So it's like there's two bank accounts. There's the physical bank account, which is like Bank of America or Chase or whatever bank we're with, and we go look at our savings account and our checking account, and there's going to be a computer number listed. It's going to say like whatever number it's going to say. But that bank account is actually just our physical bank account. It's like this body is just our physical body. But these chakras are our subtle body. You can't always see the chakras. Certain people can see the chakras, certain people, they just can't see the chakras. I can see the chakras. And the main thing that you see is people that are more like alive and healthy, they have a golden energy. They're vital. Like people after a yoga class that they really enjoy, they have a golden glow. And objects that are really like high vibration or sacred, they shine with this golden energy. It's like a gold, but it's like the richness of what I'm saying, the source. That's our actual true wealth. Because our spirits are actually like gold. So basically, the root chakra, to give an overview, is we're already like rooted in infinite wealth. It's kind of like the first chakra. The reason I've been talking so long about it is because it's like, it's often looked down upon, the first chakra. It's said like, oh, that's just the first chakra, man. Like, you're stuck in, like, that's just the first chakra, or that person's stuck in their first chakra. Like, you hear people say that, but that's not an offense. That's not an offense in a way, because the first chakra, that's like being stuck in a mansion, like on an island with like infinite wealth and just like creativity and abundance and joy. It's like, yeah, the first chakra, okay, that's the root. Like that chakra is not any less than the seventh chakra. Because even the number 7 has the number 1 in it, contained in it. So you can also get rooted in the first chakra even if you feel like upset or depression or negative energy, because Nietzsche had a saying where he said, if you want to ascend like a tree with your branches and touch the skies of heaven, you also have to descend and integrate your roots in the earth, like a tree that scoops down and dives down and pierces down into the roots of hell. So it's like you have to go down sometimes into a down mood. If you notice like a drop, if you go with it but you just remain a witness to the drop, like if you've ever gone to a carnival and there's the Ferris wheel, it goes like this. There's a part of it where the Ferris wheel is going down like this. But if you can just kind of watch it and kind of go down with it, you're going to be in pure witness consciousness. So basically what I'm saying is like the root chakra gets a bad rap, but honestly the root chakra is the root of our existence. It's like, I'm going to move on to the other chakras, but like the root, I'm just trying to say like the root is so important. It's like, it's neglected, it's sometimes viewed as bad, or someone can be stuck in the root or stuck in the first chakra. So I think the root chakra is really important because that's sort of like where we begin. So my sort of thesis of this talk, like what I'm presenting as my understanding of the chakras, thus far the 7, is that the root chakra is where we start off feeling like love for ourselves, or like wealth, and sort of like capable and like rooted. And one thing you can do actually to help that is a yoga mudra with your ring finger like this, because this represents Taurus, which is an earth sign in astrology, but it also represents the earth. So the ring finger, if you try it out, you'll notice it changes your thinking. Like in a very subtle way, just like your kind of stream of thoughts, how they feel. They're going to change slightly or a little bit, because this is actually a yogic posture. And it's also a gang sign for what I call the true spiritual gangbanger. So a spiritual gangbanger is someone who is throbbing, like banging, like creating the sound, om, from the root of their existence. So it's like a bang. And then gang comes from the word like the Ganges. So the Ganges is the flow. So when you're really in your flow, or what I call in your Tao, that's what I call spiritual gangbanging, or you're a spiritual gangbanger. So those bangs, like those sounds of you being in your Tao, coming from that truth, coming from that true self-confidence, it's going to naturally attract. But some people say like your vibe attracts your tribe. So like your tribe, when you're together, or your spiritual gangbanging, you're evoking more and more power. It's getting higher. You can turn up the music. You can, because you're all like gathered like about the truth or enlightenment. So the power is going to get really, really strong. That's also what starts in the 3rd chakra. The 3rd chakra is like, it's a lot. There's a lot going on in the 3rd chakra. That's where we get like our sense of boundaries, but it's also where we get our sense of power. So some people will say like, oh, some people can have like a weird thing about power, like in their 3rd chakra, or it could go wrong or something. What I'm saying in this talk is I'm not talking at all about chakras in like an abnormal way, to say like, because psychology, there's a whole field of like psychopathology or abnormal psychology. Like to give you a bit of my background, I'm actually in the process of being a psychologist, but a true psychologist. And what I mean by that is my own discovery of what that is. So what is psychology? It's like saying, who am I? It's like saying, what is this? Because everything I'm experiencing is in my own like awareness. So if I can ask that question, the 6th chakra was called the 3rd eye, or in Sanskrit, the Ajna chakra. It's going to start to awaken. It's what Patanjali calls the seer. So literally, like if you close your eyes, and I say, imagine a big blue ocean with your eyes closed. Imagine a big blue ocean. Something is actually seeing that image, but your eyes are closed, your physical eyes are closed. So there's another eye. There's a 3rd eye. The 3rd eye is the witness. The 3rd eye is actually the I. It's like the word I. Like when we say like, I want to go to the store. I don't like you. I like this. that I, when we're really speaking from our true self, like when we say I, we're that I, like the same eye that's seeing that image I just got you to see. Now that's like a higher stage. It might be hard, like kind of confusing because it's like the sixth chakra. I just jumped from the third to the sixth, but the third chakra, there's a lot going on in the third chakra. So because there's so much going on in the third chakra, that's the beginning of the ego. The ego begins literally in the third chakra. In the first chakra, in the second chakra, there's no ego in those chakras. And the reason I say that is because when we get anxious, or let's say a tiger was jumping out or something, your sexual organs, even from a biology place, get like shut down because you're in what's called the fight or flight. Now I'm going to deconstruct all that science that I just said, but I'm just using it to explain something, which is that naturally, without fear, our sexual organs and digestive system are like flowing in harmony and like balance. And the feeling of fear itself starts in the third chakra. It's like a knot. This is where the third chakra is said to be. It's like just below your heart. It's a knot, like a knot just below the heart. So what happens is through yoga, what's going to happen is there's going to be a loosening of the third chakra, and then what's going to happen is you're literally going to come into your heart and grow. You're literally growing your heart with awareness. Your heart and soul. Like that's why we use those words together. It's like in my heart and soul, or in his heart and soul, he knew that he had to do this. I knew it in my heart and soul. So, but what happens is as the ego loosens up, like as fear is more and more something on your periphery, like something out there, kind of on your outer layers, and you're more in your innerness, which is like Rumi says that our most innerness is peace, our innermost like self. So as you're getting closer to yourself, as you're going more and more within, effortlessly falling in love, which is your root, what's happening is actually, Rumi says that when you feel a sense of peace, that's a good sign because it means you're getting closer to the truth. So the closer you get to the truth, which just means the more you're self-aware, because you're getting close to yourself again, you're going to feel peace. Fear is loosened up. The third chakra is more loosened. So the energy can flow freely from the root of your existence, the very root, through the creative energy, all the colors, this experience, which created, like the Big Bang, is just a word for like a big orgasm of God. God went boom, had an orgasm. True Tantra was called Shiva Shakti in Hinduism, where it's like the masculine, the feminine. There's no words for it, but that creates the universe. Sexual energy created the universe. It creates new people, it creates new songs, it creates everything. So like that can then move, the third chakra, it's all loosened up, the ego is not there. So then the heart is open, like the heart's able to speak. Like it's like a big orchestra in the church where they have all those pipes, it goes and they go Amen, like the priests. All those pipes being clean, the third chakra is able to be heard. The fourth, like the heart, is able to be heard like through these instruments because they're all purified. So yoga and also nutrition, like sattvic foods, which means like fresh orange juice that they make, the kind like they make it like Whole Foods and other places. Like some people resonate with Whole Foods, some people don't. I personally like the orange juice at Whole Foods. I think they do a good job at that because they make it fresh there. But the highest would be like growing your own, like Krishnamurti in Ojai. But it's like your own diet is gonna be your own thing. That's what I'm saying. Like these chakras, I'm just doing my own thing. You're gonna do your own thing. Like your chakras are gonna be your own thing. That's your Tao. So like when you're in your own thing, you're natural. The chakras are like moving and spinning in harmony. So to do a review again, because there's a lot of information. There's a lot you can say about the third chakra, and I have about half an hour left, but I'm going to kind of like dwindle down and also leave it open for any questions and any live questions too on the thing. So to do just a brief review is that the first chakra is the root of our wealth, and our wealth is how we're experiencing ourselves. It's like our attitude. It's like if we feel like poor, ugly, or beautiful, that's how we're going to experience the day and like other people and stuff. If we're already in a bad mood, it's like we're coloring our day. Like we're not trying to do it. We never need to like get down on ourselves. I don't believe in self-criticism at all. Like any form of criticism, I don't think is true. Like at all. Like any kind of negative voice about yourself or the slightest guilt, to me, that's not the truth, because if we have that, it's like we're looking at ourselves through that. But it's like in the eyes of God, which is our true eye, like our real connection, like our highest. I'm using that word God just like for the universe, whatever. It's perfect. Like there's no good or bad or anything like that. So when we're in that innocence or perfect awareness, which is always available to us, which is the awareness we can actually have towards our own judgments. Like when we notice we're judging ourselves, and then we even judge that judgment, I call that the triple judge. It's like triple judge. Like we're triple judging, but it's like we could then judge that. It's like, why judge that? But there's a naturalness in your soul where you actually like can just watch the judgments in a non-judgmental way. You don't have to like try it because it's gonna happen. It's like you can't like force it. You can't like put it on or fake it. You don't even have to learn it. It's natural to you. There's a part of your spirit that's not judging. It's not criticizing you. It's just kept quiet. It's very quiet and kind of stuck in it's underneath all of like our other judgments and stuff. But it's still there because even as a child, like we were in that innocence, like as a child. We weren't judging ourselves and stuff. So that ability is still inside of us. It's the one that was there even when we were children. And that's why in the Bible, and when I quote the Bible, I'm not quoting it as a Christian. I just want to make that clear. I'm not religious in that sense. What I would mean by Christian would be what I call Christ consciousness, which is anyone that's like awakened to like that you're already saved in the sense of your root is already abundance. Like I said, the first chakra, it's like the root of our existence is all good. Like my grandmother, she was Christian, like what I call very Christian, but in the sense of she would say like anything you could do, like the worst thing, or like someone, whenever I had like in my family on my mom's side, we're really big. There's like 10 aunts and uncles that I have, so they call my grandma, and one of them might be like, I got in trouble last night, I was partying or something, and my grandma would just say, in Christ Jesus, like it's just the devil trying to get you down. Like it's all, you already been saved. Like Jesus took care of everything. Like you don't have to even worry. Like in the Bible, there's a saying that says that God casts all your like sins into the sea of forgetfulness. Like God's not holding on to things you did or something. Like that basis of like zero guilt, innocence, like that's the root of our innocence. Like a child is innocent. You know what I'm saying? That's why like that's why we have the ego, our conditioning. Because what happens is we go into our conditioning as children with that innocence. We innocently take on an identity. Like someone, our parents or whoever could say, yeah, there's this thing called Santa, like Santa Claus. And as children, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah. He comes down a thing through the tree and there's cookies and he eats them and it's like, I remember the day that I discovered there was no such thing. Like I don't know how I found out, but I just asked my father, I was like, is there really such a thing as Santa Claus? I had this intuition, but it wasn't like a heartbreak or anything. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. So it's like we're made to believe in many different identities. We're ugly, we're poor, we're in lack, we're whatever. Because we came into those false, those untrue sort of dreams of other people with our innocence. Because our pure awareness, our natural true self, our pure spirit, is actually a wondrous innocence. It's always wondering, and that's what I'm trying to create in you through this talk, is a sense of wonder about the chakras. I'm also not trying to say because my experience, what I'm saying right now, tomorrow will be different. I'd have something new to say about the first chakra. I'd have something new to say about the second chakra. In a year from now, I would not be giving the same talk, saying the chakra, because everything's evolving, everything's moving. So that's why we can't really know things through a scientific theory, because science is trying to pin things down and say all these things are all these walls and everything is made up of atoms. And I want to say, I apologize for anyone listening live if my voice, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just storage got full.
Oh, okay. I was meant to cut out. I can share this later.
Okay.
I'll upload that.
Do you need a charge?
Oh,
It's
it's
my
the charger. I brought the charger.
yeah, it's
Yeah, just the memory got full.
yeah, my Facebook Live. Sometimes it will cut out,
Got it.
but I'm recording it as well, so it's sort of I can just release that on YouTube later.
Have you done, not to distract you from the subject, but do you know about Periscope?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. I could. Yeah, I want to have it so that actually, in my future talks, there'll be someone doing the Periscope, someone doing the Facebook, someone doing the
Yeah, that'd be cool.
multiple
Sorry to interrupt.
things, but no.
Thank you, that's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna wind down because I'm feeling the close, but basically, the first chakra is kind of like our root. It's called the Muladhara. Second chakra is the Swastika.
Swalahara. Swalahara.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce that word, but that's sexual energy and creative energy and everything. The third chakra is sort of natural anger, boundaries, sense of power. Because even when we're walking the blockbuster somewhere, we have to kind of have a power to say just not to look weak or something. Someone might try to rob you or something. Not in a paranoid thing, but just a natural way of being in the world. Just kind of boundaries protected, but not hard or shelled up, kind of like walls, more solid. That's the third chakra to me. So if there's an area of growth or where we do grow or where maybe something is unaligned in our chakras, to me it's the third chakra is where that happens. Because that hardness can maybe turn into an anger or more irritation, or we'll get kind of stuck in the solid reality and forget that everything we perceive as a solid object, even this wall, is made up of subtle energies we can't even perceive and see. It's if we get too solid, we can't move our chakras up, because the chakras above the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, they're less kind of solid. They're more spiritual, spirit, in the air, very subtle. So to me, It's like the first chakra is our beginning, our root, like our being. Second chakra is creativity, sexual energy, attraction, alchemy. Third chakra is anger, solidity, sound, like even speaking up for yourself is sort of like the loudness in the voice, or like the solidness. You need a certain amount of solidity. In yoga, they often talk about like tamas, rajas, and sattva. So like the third chakra is tamas. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you need that solidity as part of creation. Rajas is like the second, so things start like moving, so you can like kind of move the sexual energy. Like things start getting hot. People say, "Oh, you're hot." It's getting hot in here. That's because it's the sex is high. It's the second chakra. It's the rajas. And then the first is sattva. Right from the first, because from the very first, you're the truth. Like you're sat, you're pure awareness. So, first chakra is sat, pure awareness. Second chakra is rajas, movement. Third chakra is tamas. So once these three are flowing naturally, tamas, rajas, and sattva, that's when the chakras really start to like awaken. Or you awaken your chakras, because what's happening is kind of like you're laying the foundations, almost. It's like if you have like a good night's rest, something good to eat, and a little bit of exercise, the rest of your health's gonna be good. Like your other things, it's kind of if you have your tamas in balance, your rajas in balance, and to be in balance just means to be yourself. Like what you naturally learn resonates for you, like what makes you feel good throughout a day. Like I love Blue Bottle coffee. To me, that coffee is like very, very pure coffee. It's not like Starbucks or other brands. The way they brew it, I feel like you get the health benefits of coffee. There are some health benefits of coffee, and then there's like kind of like debate around it. Coffee, but for me, that's something that kind of like anchors me, so it helps me be in a balance. Some people may be like, does that help the chakras or not? It's you kind of realize what you like find aligns the chakras. Like certain people might, like depending in the yoga community, there's like different debates around like chocolate or coffee or but the more pure the better. So like because this coffee is more purely made, it's better, it's more sattvic. So I actually don't have like Starbucks anymore or Coffee Bean, because I find they're just like there's a lot of chemicals in them, because like so many people a day have Starbucks. It has to be made in kind of a factory like way, whereas the Blue Bottle, it's a lot slower, it's more pure. So basically, just by doing yoga, you're gonna get more pure in your first, second, and third chakra, and your heart's gonna start opening more. Like the fourth is naturally gonna flow up to the fourth chakra, and then once you're in the heart, it's like you're home, you're set. It's all set, because the fifth, which is gonna follow next, you're gonna be speaking from your heart. So what's going to be happening is if you're speaking from your heart, your throat muscles are going to vibrate with that sound. That first comes from the intention and actually the feeling of your heart, like just speaking from your heart. That's what I also call prayer. Is even though we're the universe and stuff, you can also pray in such a way where it's like, okay, universe, I'd like to have your help with this, or I'm going through this. Basically, you're speaking to the universe as like your best friend. You're just saying like, okay, I'm going to share what I'm going through, and you inherently feel like, again, the root chakra, that the universe is not like judging you or something. You can just share freely, and the universe is actually listening. Because if anything, that innermost awareness within you, which is also called the listener, or what the Buddha and the Dhammapada calls it, like the watchfulness, like the awaken. It's like that inner eye. It's listening even as you pray to however way we pray. Something's going to listen,